Another week, another Saturday. We made it. And I'm happy to say, my throat almost completely healed. You'll love to see it. Feels great being able to eat and drink without taking constant psychic damage. That's never good. That's never good. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I guess I'm not the only one taking psychic damage around here, huh? My goodness. My goodness. Trying to bring everything up still. Hold up. I might be a little bit slow. I might be a little bit slow. Please understand. I just have my music ready, so everything should be mostly okay. Well, we'll have to stop. We have a couple of videos for today. But we can have some music for now. It will be okay. Probably. Oh, my guys. What a strange week this one has been. I've been struggling a little bit with Twitter lately, not gonna lie. And not for a really strange reason, mind you. I usually use Twitter as a great source of news, as you might expect. I don't agree with Elon Musk when he says that Twitter, or I suppose he would say X, is the biggest platform for news. It's social media after all. The thing is, something changed in the algorithm this week, and I tried my best to fix it. I don't know if it's working. I was thrown into Japanese Twitter for a while. I don't know how I feel about them. They have okay memes, but they say a lot of stupid stuff. I'm a hater at heart. What can you say? I love hating. Nevertheless, I had to admit that I managed to get a bunch of stuff for today. Some stuff I almost forgot to bring in. Thankfully, I remembered just before stream. Because I said it was something I wanted to talk about. But before we start getting really spicy and really smelly perhaps, we had to talk about Twitch, because of course we do. It's become really common. I don't know how to feel about that. So let us bring up the browser. Because I don't think Twitch is a good platform anymore. I don't know if it was ever good. It was better than this for sure. But I had to admit that just like EA and Ubisoft, it's just the gift that keeps on giving. It is a disaster, but it is a beautiful disaster, and I'm here for it. So, just yesterday, I'm pretty sure this is from yesterday. Yeah, November 7th. Today is the 8th. Yeah, that makes sense. They had the little mistake of opening their mouths. So, what are they saying here? Well, they wanted to talk about the Emir situation again. So we have this tweet here from the official Twitch account. We wanted to follow up on the post we recently made about the security incident at TwitchCon San Diego. As many of you know, at the 2025 TwitchCon San Diego event, one for valued creators. So disgusting. I can already feel the PR sipping into me. Emiru was assaulted by an attendee during a meet and greet event. Although Twitch works very hard to try to keep TwitchCon attendees safe, no you don't, and to prevent incidents like this from happening, no you don't, we failed to do both things in this case, as suspected, because you're useless. To keep Emiru safe and to prevent assault from happening. We deeply regret the distress we caused for Emiru, our other creators, and the entire community. In recognition of Emiru's advocacy, Twitch will be making a donation to support non-profit organizations working to prevent sexual violence. More details on that to follow soon. Why are you bothering with this? This is just virtue signaling. We know that. We all know it. Thing is, People don't want you to make donations to non-profit organizations to prevent sexual violence. I'm not saying that is bad, but what people are asking of you is, please stop being useless. If you said your highest priority was security and your security was non-existent, you have no priorities. So at least invest the money into your own security. For once, try to do something useful. Yesterday, this thing had a community note. I think the community note has been moved, but that's okay. We have here a couple of replies that are just eviscerating Twitch, as they should, honestly. From Asmongold. How can we expect you to take assault seriously at your events if you can't even ban people who have committed assault 4 times on 2 separate people on your platform? This is a reference to the chicks we talked about last week that were assaulting and twerking on a guy even though the guy was clearly against it and he was saying he was against it. No, 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 no. That's just a lie. He's enjoying it. The chick said that, not me. They got a 1-day ban. One of them, after being exposed with another similar event, got a full week. Wow, a whole week. That's crazy. She's already back. Which is really funny. It's obviously really funny to me. Because it's just a week. Let's say in total, 8 days for 2 clear cases of sexual misconduct on the platform. And I know I mentioned before how you will always have a bunch of clowns saying, oh, what are you, some sort of gay? You should be enjoying this. Victim blaming, of course. The thing is, I fully believe that Dan Clancy, CEO of Twitch, fully believes that. The classic meme, it should have been me. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but this is not something to be celebrated, okay? Think again, he's probably the most famous gooner we have on the site, so it wouldn't be surprising either if this was the case. We also have Tecton in the same line. No one believes you when you unban the chick who is ate multiple dudes in your stream. Yes. We have more tweets here. Nobody's taking this seriously after you unban the chick who sexually assaulted the dude on your streams for 1 week. You want people for longer, for less. You're spineless cowards. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. But once again, Twitch is the gift that keeps on giving. So we have a code tweet from the Gunnerman himself. And here now we have the community note. I'm pretty sure this exact community note was also on the previous tweet yesterday. But I don't know what happened. Page failing in response to the assault of Emirate 2025 TwitchCon San Diego, and in particular, I failed to communicate clearly in talking about the incident afterwards during an interview. You're not worried that you failed to communicate clearly. The problem was that you were too clear, but the thing that you said was not what you had to say. Victim blaming, are we, Gunnerman? That's a big no-no, I believe. I do not believe, and in no way intended to suggest that Emery had any responsibility whatsoever for the incident at TwitchCon. If it was someone else, I could give the benefit of the doubt. This is Twitch we're talking about. I just don't. I don't have the patience in me to do so. I have a great deal of empathy. Oh. Look at me, guys. I'm so empathetic. Take out the M at least, okay? I do agree. There's some people here being extremely pathetic. I have a great deal of empathy for what creators such as Emery have to deal with every day. I was trying to express that, and I did that poorly. I'm sorry I let you down, Emery, and I'm sorry Twitch let you down. Thing is, I once again, I just don't believe you. You're a massive gooner. Once again, it should have been me. This guy probably thinking. So now, if you were actually so empathetic, you would have actual security on the venue, but you didn't. How do we know this? Because once again, as we've seen here on the stream several times before, they had tweets assuring creators, don't worry, don't worry, nothing is gonna happen, security is our top priority. First fucking day of the convention, this happens. So I just don't believe you. I also seen, I don't think I showed them, but I know I mentioned them, some clips, how security was non-existent. Can I check this person is who they claim to be? It's fine, just go on. What are you doing? What are you doing? I appreciate it all you have done over the years on Twitch. Yeah, I bet you do. And we're committed to continuing to improve our TwitchCon security. No, it's a lie. We all know it's a lie, because you said this before, and nothing happened. If anything, the security got worse, which is hilarious to me. Process and communication so that we can show up better for you and all of our creators moving forward. What does the community have to say about this? Twitch lied multiple times about the incident. Oh no! Twitch lying? I just don't believe you. Letting the sun go and withholding evidence from the authorities. I didn't know that. Withholding evidence from the authorities. Do we believe now this guy might have been some sort of actual Twitch guy? Are they actually protecting their own? I don't want to believe that. But given the situation, it's really easy to believe. Then Cassie parted with victim-blaming Emery, whom she called a quote-unquote friend. Nina Ling, one of the chicks I was talking about before, was banned, then quickly unbanned a week later. Incompetence. I don't think we need to go through most of this because we know, we've seen this. What about the replies? Are they destroying this guy? Of course. I love to see it. Here we have a tweet from Rev. A partner streamer sexually assaulted two men live on your platform, and you unbanned her after 1 week. To be fair, if we combine both bans, it was 8 days, okay? 8 days for 2 events. If you had any dignity, you would resign. I can't believe you're the leader of Twitch, or quite frankly, the leader of anything. Harsh! Dig again, where's the lie? These things would be obvious if you spend less time chasing after 20-year-old women at TwitchCon parties, and spend more time chasing after your wife, family, and the platform you're supposed to lead. God damn, that's spicy. And I mentioned this before, right? Okay. I could find strange, but not necessarily abhorrent or illegal, if a guy of this age, I do believe this man's like 61 at this point. Don't quote me on that. It's clear that the guy is old. But it will be completely illegal to chase around the young ladies, okay? Nothing wrong with that. He's married. That's the problem. He's married. What are you doing? Don't you have a wife? We also have Titan with the Cindy Sweeney newest meme. Very good. Resign then and fire your moderation team on your way out the door. Fair. And probably one of my favorite ones here. Just put the resignation in the bag already. Beautiful meme. Is anything going to change? Maybe. Is it gonna be a good change? No. Come on. We know that's the case. Not with these people. But then again, they had the audacity to keep lying. And since we were talking about lies, I guess it only makes sense to me to move on to Hassan Piker. This is not a segue I had planned, okay? That doesn't usually happen. It was just hilarious here. But, oh boy, this guy can catch a break. And at the same time, I don't think he should catch a break if he keeps saying stupid shit all the time. So, what happened with Hassan Piker this week? Well, let me tell you, we have a couple of clips. That's why I stopped the music. So here we have. Oh boy, can you say that? Hassan is lying. He wouldn't lie to me. Hassan talks about his journey going from broke to rich. Exactly, I've seen both for the record. Because I was dead broke, I'm critiquing capitalism, and then people would like, yeah, because you're a loser. Not that I have money and still do it. People are like, well, hypocrite match? Well, if you push for communism while being the biggest capitalist, yes, that's hypocrisy. People are not saying you shouldn't have a home or a phone. It doesn't need to be a $3 million home. It doesn't have to be the most expensive iPhone. That's the usual critique. But then again, let us listen to this man for 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Sure.
This bullshit goes both ways. If you're wealthy and you critique capitalism, you're a hypocrite. If you're poor and you critique capitalism, you're jealous. Americans are so fucking cuck sometimes. Exactly.
It's not about being a cock. It's about understanding that communism doesn't work. Also, the most prolific communists all live in capitalist countries. I wonder why.
I mean, I've seen both for the record because I was dead broke and was critiquing capitalism. And then
I was that broke. We all know this is a lie. We'll get to the community note, but we all know this is a lie. We all know that has some bikers and Nepo Baby. This guy has never been broke, okay? Maybe he was not doing as well as before. This guy was never broke, okay? It's pretty obvious. Before becoming this political talking guy on Twitch, he had a quite a prolific YouTube channel, being a pickup bro, which is really funny. And we all know it's mentioned also, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's also mentioned in the community notes, that just when he finished college, he just got a job for his uncle. Or, not for, but from his uncle, St. Huger. What are you saying here? We all know what, but still.
people will be like, yeah, because you're a fucking loser. And now that I have money and I still do it, people are like, well, hypocrite much? I didn't change.
Well, that is true. He didn't change. Or did he? I'm pretty sure if you mention anything about his Pick Bro days on the YouTube machine, you're probably gonna get banned. So, hmm, that's funny.
And it's always so strange. Obviously, this is like personal for me for many different reasons because this is my life's fucking work. But what's so funny about it is like people want you to almost be like, oh, once I got a touch of the bag, like once I touch the bag, it's over. Like this socialism shit is done. You know what I mean?
No, that's completely backwards. It's not that the socialism is done when you get a bag. It's that you're into socialism to get the bag. Okay? That's how it works. I mean, had you seen New York in the past week? I think it's pretty obvious.
And then they try to rationalize why I'm still doing this. They try to be like, oh, it's because like this is how he's financially incentivized to continue advocating for this kind of shit. And it's like, no, dumbass.
You do it because you're a propagandist. That's what propagandists do. Propaganda.
Maybe it's because I believe it, you know? People think that like I just fucking was born this way, you know what I mean?
This is what we call foreshadowing.
Always was this person. I always had this $3 million home. Like it's just so dumb.
It is so dumb. I just find it really funny how he says it.
It genuinely doesn't make sense.
Can you hear the screaming?
Aren't your dad a billionaire? No, man. Are you? You're a 27-month subscriber? Are you that fucking stupid?
No, he's been around for a long time, so he knows when you're lying. I'm not trying to say his dad was actually a billionaire. That doesn't mean he was poor. Okay? Come on now. Well, my dad was not a billionaire.
No. I am fortunate enough to be able to financially take care of my parents. Both.
And this is something that's pissing people off a lot, but I think this is really well crafted misdirection. Let's hear that again. go back a little bit here.
No. I am fortunate enough to be able to financially take care of my parents.
I am fortunate enough to be able to take it to find their financial care of my parents. I don't think this is a lie, because that is true. He is financially able to do so. That doesn't mean he's doing it, because his parents probably don't need to, because they're probably loaded with fucking money anyway.
Both of my parents. There are people who genuinely believe that, by the way. They literally think like, oh, he comes from a billionaire family. It's like, you're fucking dumb. You're so dumb.
Well, maybe not billionaire, but clearly millionaire and really wealthy. I've seen the images of this guy as a little kid, riding a horse. Come on. Sure, I've ridden horses before, like 2 times. But I'm pretty sure they had horses. They didn't look like, oh, look at me, having a small vacation. No, that wasn't the case. I don't know if they have the images in the replies. I hope so.
God damn it. There are a handful of billionaires in Turkey. He would be on fucking lists if that was the case. Is unironically that I know, no, sorry, it's not a no joke situation because I just can't sometimes tell because there are people who like legitimately believe that. And there are people who unironically believe that.
Well. What do we have here? Community notes. Sang is lying. Wow. I grew up affluent, and I didn't have to worry about making ends meet, or having to take on a job, or anything like that. YouTube link. Wired link. Father was on the board of a 4 billion USD company. Sure. Maybe the father was not a billionaire. If he was on the board of a 4 billion company, they were loaded with money. I was a commercial landlord. However, his uncle's net were right out of college. I've seen some people mentioning that his mother looks Armenian, and she was profiting from Armenian genocide. I don't know anything about that. Oh, how dare you! How dare you, you foul demon! How dare you, you foul demon! Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Which is really funny, because since these bots are considered monitor suspicious users, I think they only show to me, not to anybody else. That's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, that's pretty cool. Something good from Twitch. Hey, that's pretty good. So we have here from Donut Operator, that community note is brutal. Yes, it do be. Young Hassan living the broke life. Yeah, he's even chubby. Look at this man. Well, little man, boy, whatever. I don't know enough about horses to know if this is an expensive breed or anything like that. It's just a brown horse to me. I have no idea. Friends are billionaires. Well, maybe not billionaires, right? But they're obviously really rich. The uncle's a millionaire who jump-started his media career. Here's the definition of privileged. Yes. Okay. I didn't mention this before, but I had to mention this again here. Why is this guy lying? Because he needs to look, how do we say this? He needs to look, not empathetic, but relatable. Relatable is the word I'm looking for. Look, it was some a nobody, and then became so successful by being a propagandist. Well, you were always rich. What are you saying here, Hassan Biker? What are you trying to tell me? Bunch of lies, of course. But the funniest thing of all is that there's a follow-up that I haven't seen yet. So, prepare your asses. Hassan clarifies the community note tweet about his wealthy upbringing. My dad went broke by the time he went to college, and I was broke for the first decade, almost post-college. I grew up fairly affluent in Turkey. I'm fortunate enough to take care of my parents. Surely, this is not a lie either. Let us hear to the man.
I said I was broke because my parents, my dad, went broke by the time I got to college.
Lies, by the way.
And I was broke for the first decade almost, post college. Now I'm fortunate enough to be able to take care of my family. You didn't see headlines. You saw
Oh, he changed the wording. Did we catch you in a lie now, Hassan? Wouldn't be the first time anyway.
a fucking viral tweet, brother. Don't act like you read any fucking headlines. You actually just saw a viral tweet. That's what you saw. I never said I fucking grew up in poverty. As a matter of fact, I've openly stated that I grew up fairly affluent.
You just saw a tweet going viral, but was the tweet wrong?
In Turkey. I cannot believe how fucking stupid everyone is on the internet. That like things that I have openly talked about endlessly turn into this idiotic back and forth. They're like, oh, were you lying? Were you lying about growing up in poverty? When the fuck did I say I grew up in poverty?
Well, sure, maybe not growing up in poverty, but I guess we would need to ask here, what is his definition of being broke? Because it's clearly not the same as my definition of being broke.
I didn't. I said I was broke in college and after college.
Oh, I get it. He probably says that trying to pull from the meaning of, I wasn't making any money myself. That doesn't mean you're actually broke if your parents are paying for everything. I don't think it's mentioned here, not even the community note, but I've seen, I think it was some tweet. I'm not sure. I don't have it on tab, sadly. I didn't have the foresight of saving it. He was mentioning how he didn't really care about failing exams because his father would pay for everything. That's not being broke, my fella. I don't know what you mean by that.
I hate this shit. I hate how stupid everyone is.
Same. But that also includes you.
I hate that, like, you can't even have a fucking normal conversation about this shit. And I hate that, like, AI articles are enough to dupe.
AI articles. My brother in Christ, it was not AI. It was you talking. Okay. Ah, it's AI. Is this the new buzzword? Is this the new defense? Look, I'm not a big fan of AI either, but this is just ridiculous. So I don't think we have more clips. Not soon anyway. So, what is the community now saying here? Hassan graduated a 4-year degree in 2013. In 2010, after enrolling at one of the most expensive cities/universities, he famously visited a German brothel. Some people mention this as being a brothel with minors. I don't know enough about that. I know people mention that, but I cannot tell you if that is true or not. Well, his mom also went to college and had rentals, paying education, vacations, and score turned exactly broke. Also, getting a media career directly from your uncle just when you leave college is not being broke either, okay? Sure, you might not be a billionaire, but there's a huge gap between being broke and being a millionaire. Millionaire with an M, mind you. Right? Am I supposed to expect people that live in the USA that make, let's say, 130,000 a year are broke? I don't think so. Maybe in some specific cities, because some of them are extremely expensive. I've seen people making more than 100,000 a year and just living paycheck to paycheck, which to me is absolutely insane. Shit, I would do with that kind of money. Not gonna lie. And of course, you can always tell them, just move to a cheaper place and whatnot, right? But maybe you don't want to. Maybe you have your family living there. Economy's fact. We all know that. Let's see here. Watching this dude constantly melt down is fucking entertaining. Keep up the great work, internet. It's pretty funny. There his ass again, please. Just say ass. Come on. As I am such a prolific liar, he can tell me the sky is blue and I wouldn't believe him. Yes. That is a big problem.
I said I was broke.
Silence. I don't wish to listen to you again. So I guess we need to take a second here and talk about lying. It is time, friends, to have this talk. Lying is a big problem. Whoa! What a take, I know. But let me explain a little bit properly what I'm trying to say. It is a problem with different layers. Probably the first layer and most detrimental to, dare I say, society is the fact that nowadays, especially nowadays, that's not to say that we didn't have liars before, but nowadays we have obvious groups, in plural, there are a couple of them at least, that keep on lying because they benefit from lies. Why is that? Because you control the narrative, you control how people think. What a shocker. And as we see time and time again, having nice lies works wonders instead of having uncomfortable truths. The thing is, you cannot have that in the grand scale of society or the country or whatever. Because if you're trying to manage the country, the economy and whatnot, you need to be based on reality. If what you tell me sounds good, but it's not based on anything, what are we doing here? It makes no sense. There are obviously some other big problems, societal problems, that come from lying. Because what you have on your head doesn't have to be reality itself. Things can make you upset and whatnot, but if it comes to a point that you're fighting, I don't know, the laws of the universe, biology, or physics, you have to take a step back and think, maybe I'm wrong, right? This is what people like Hassan do. This guy is not going to change. This guy's just a liar. He keeps lying because it works, because people believe him. For some reason, I don't know. Does he have a high charisma score? I have no idea. It doesn't work on me, so maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm making my safe checks, dare I say. He lies with a purpose. As I said before, this guy's a propagandist. Is he going to change? No. He's just another cog into this strange lying machine to push for ideology, propaganda, and whatnot. But that's only one part of the problem. There's another pretty big problem with lying. And I don't know, I know this is not gonna affect most people. Some people will not lie. Some people will just keep lying. But there's always some people that are on the fence of literally anything. Using individual lying is kind of a big problem that snowballs always into a bigger problem. Because lying is addicting. Reality can be whatever I want. Well, that's not really true. But perception or reality can be molded by your words. And since lying is so easy and so convenient, you will keep lying. And it will come to a point that you will be lying about literally everything. And you shouldn't. Because it will come to a point that you have to wonder if you have any actual relationship with people. Maybe romantic relationships, friendships, and whatnot. If you have to keep lying constantly to friends or a spouse and whatnot, what are you even doing? Right? Because I couldn't find anything more depressing than the realization of if you keep lying and then you get with somebody in a romantic relationship, are they actually going to love you for who you are, or are they going to just love your lies? That's kind of rough. That's kind of rough to think. Thing is, there's always time to fix yourself. You can just stop lying. You can just be yourself. That's actually pretty cool, okay? Because when you keep lying, you end up in this strange cage of lies in your own mind that's just exhausting. And it doesn't matter what you do, really. If you lie, if you don't lie, whatever you do, some people will always criticize you, some people will always hate you. So you know what? Screw them. Who cares? Just be yourself. At least they will be trying to hate something that is real. Though, I guess hating something that doesn't exist is also kind of funny. So, yeah, lying is bad. Did you know that's considered a sin in Christianity? I do believe it. Yeah, that's why. So, do yourself a favor, and if you're an habitual liar, stop it. Get some help. Might take some time, but it's gonna be better, trust me. I used to lie a lot when I was a teenager. Till I came to that realization, I was like, oh, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Speaking of liars, I'm not quite sure if this is a good segue. But let's keep talking about content creation, shall we? I saw this, I think this was on Thursday? I think it was on Thursday. This is a story that's been running around for a little bit. This guy, Tyler Oliveira, which apparently is kind of a big YouTuber. I think he has like 8 or 9 million subscribers. That's pretty good. The kind of guy that goes around different countries doing content about said countries. And he showed something about India's pub festival, which is of course hilarious. The problem was that a lot of people, a lot of Indians, got on his ass because how dare you being so racist? Oh, this is not possible. We're going to cancel you. We're going to ban you because India's a growing market on YouTube, so you cannot make this kind of video. And I'm like, okay, but how is it racist to show something that's literally happening on the country? I mean, if you don't want people criticizing your poop throwing festival, don't have a poop throwing festival. I mean, it makes sense, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I will take it. So he's been bullied by Indians. It's been more than a week. It has been insane. So we have this official statement, number 6. Yeah, it was on Thursday. After much consideration, I have decided I will not be releasing my documentary capturing India's poop throwing festival. Every single time I read those words, it's hilarious to me. I have been doxxed and threatened by thousands of Indians over the last 2 weeks. Tens of thousands of Indians have turned my life into a living hell. My family has been attacked in ways I never could have imagined. Showing up to this poop festival was the worst decision of my life, and I severely underestimated the power of India. I'm only one man. I cannot defeat the combined power of 1.5 billion Indians who yearn for my destruction. I simply cannot continue fighting this war. I must choose my battles. This one simply isn't worth it. I never meant to offend the Indians. Well, speak for yourself. Their religion or their culture. I just wanted to participate in this initial poop throwing festival and share it for the world to see. I ask that all Indians reading this please leave my family alone. Thank you. I don't know enough about this guy, so I don't know if this is a joke or an actual statement. We have Savi here saying he's gonna drop it still, isn't it? I do hope so. I do hope so. Let me throw a light to this guy. Now I'm kinda curious. Megan, that's literally the worst thing you can do. Double down, they will give up. It's just insanity. Absolute insanity, if you ask me. But then again, here we are. They've been really appetite recently, these Indians. Oh, look at this man. Look at PewDiePie, the biggest racist of them all. And people were like, this man was dissing India so many years ago. Truly visionary. You know what they say, you India, you lose. Was he wrong? I think he was justified at the end of the day. What a fucking disaster. What a fucking disaster of a country. Holy shit. Absolutely hilarious. But please, I think there were some people saying, just give me the documentary and I will upload it. I think it was the Quartering? Might have been somebody else, I'm not sure. We need to see it. We need to see the poop throwing festival, come on. How will we stop being racist if we don't understand the poop throwing? I think it only makes sense. I think it only makes sense. But I have to admit that Twitter has been going wild despite the changing algorithm, at least on my side, this past week. That thing with Bao and Shonda was absolutely insane. Shonda ended up just apologizing to the guy that she called the rumor, so hey, thumbs up, that's pretty cool. The guy took the apology. I have nothing else to say. People can actually apologize. Yeah, that's nice to see. And within the wake of Bao apparently criticizing old men, as they say, I've seen so many stupid takes, it has been insanity. There was this vtuber. I think I could bring up the tweets. It's not important anymore, in my opinion. But it was the usual. I'm missing the tweets actually. Hold up. Okay, I'm gonna start with the spiciest one. She was like, but of course this would never happen to men, because of course men have all the power. The usual feminist rebel, right? I think she got community noted with the Ninaling stuff. It was like, okay, that's pretty funny. She was later outed as a literal pedophile, by the way, because even though she was, I want to say she was married, but I'm not quite sure. She had an adult man, right? She was also dating a minor on Discord. When that was uncovered, she immediately graduated, so she completely disappeared. That's absolutely hilarious to me. There was another one that was saying something along the lines of, but feminism is also for the betterment of men. More on that later, I have an article on that actually. And I'm like, if that is true, I'm gonna repeat this later anyway, but if this perceived patriarchy is the root of all evil, and everything wrong with the world is just its fault, how is that a system that works, right? Well, obviously it doesn't. But then again, modern day feminism, we've been on this crusade for more than a decade. We've also had a bunch of legays, dare I say, trying to cancel an artist because the artist didn't want to take a commission of a queer couple because the guy apparently was Muslim. Some people have been saying it's from Indonesia. I'm not quite sure. I don't really care about that. It's kind of funny that we have Muslims against the gays once again. I'm like, you know what? Sure, fight amongst yourselves. Leave me the fuck alone for once. So I want to bring up, especially within the wake of the new mayor for New York, I want to bring up this tweet, which I thought it was fucking hilarious, here by Olga. 2025. Twitter found out that a Muslim artist can reject their LGBT commission and they feel offended. Who's gonna tell them what actually is going to happen to queer people under Sharia law? So mostly the history never witnessed such cases. Such a mystery. It's hilarious. It's doing numbers. It's pretty cool. They now didn't want to acknowledge it or care. They get angry if you tell them. Yeah, I saw some much denial and some replies. Some people are not simply sheltered, they're straight just from reality. And there was a better one here. This one. This is really funny. Okay, you're being naive. Obviously, all Muslims are 100% tolerant progressives and accepting of LGBTQIA+ individuals. It's those evil Christians that are the true baddies. But of course, the problem is this shit is happening all the fucking time, and I'm like, fellas, please understand. I'm not a big fan of Islam, okay? I have many reasons to not like Islam, but it is insane to me to see a bunch of gay people constantly on social media being pro-Islam. I'm like, you understand that if you're gay, they're gonna kill you. It's not hyperbolic. They're gonna throw you from buildings. to kill you. Okay? Oh, but they have so many trans people. Yes, because for them, if you're gay, okay, if you're gay in these Muslim countries, you have to transition just not to die. It's the lesser of two evils. You get me, right? Stop being stupid for once. I know I'm asking too much. Stop being stupid too much. So much. Fucking propaganda. I hate it. Yet here we are. Absolutely fucking hilarious. What else do we have here? Oh, let's keep talking about YouTube a little bit, shall we? I've seen some stuff on YouTube recently. I guess I will need to upload the short tomorrow. I was thinking about uploading that yesterday, but I didn't want to fuck up my current algorithm. I'm trying to make max my YouTube a little bit sometimes. I don't know if it works, but I do try. So we have here from Dexerto. Expect to see more YouTube shorts as they now make more money than long-form videos. First thing I need to ask. They make more money for the creator or for the platform? I bet it's the second one. From everything I'm seeing from YouTube, analytics-wise, in the last, 2 months? It's not looking good. For us. Make no mistake about it. YouTube Shorts have now surpassed traditional videos in ads revenue, so don't be surprised if your favorite creators start loading more clips instead of long-form content. Long-form content, by the way. Okay, alright. But they got me SL and people don't understand what I'm saying. Bullshit. It's not that bad. In 2021, YouTube launched Shorts as its answer to TikTok. Then it created past quick, short-form clips. Taking a few years, but as of Q3 2025, Shorts have now overtaken YouTube videos as the platform's main ad revenue driver. Hold up, is it total Shorts or comparing Shorts and long form side by side, right? Does a single short make more money per minute than long form, or is it the combined amount of full shorts that make more money than the combined amount of long form? Because that's not the same. That's not the same. And of course, they've been pushing for shorts for years at this point. I don't like them. I try to push some of them out sometimes, but sometimes I just need to be clip farming myself. I don't think I'm that clippable. Blame me if you wish. I think I have more nuance and humor, and a short is not enough for me. What can you say? It's a bit of a go. According to the Google on the video site, YouTube advertising revenues increased by 15% to 10.3 billion USD. Speaking during Alphabet's Q3 2025 earnings call, Bill CDO Sundar Pichai, speaking of Indians I suppose, highlighted the growing success of Shorts. In the US, Shorts now earn more revenue per watch hour than traditional in-stream on YouTube, he said. Okay, they say per watch hour, which might be better than what I was assuming, but there is still room for whistle wording here. Even begins at 10:44. I don't care enough. I can't believe you. It's fine. YouTube Shorts overthrows traditional videos as platform makes 10.3 billion, which is really funny as content creators are making less and less. I wonder why. I wonder what's going on, YouTube. Short success will undoubtedly spark some concern from viewers who go on YouTube for long, engaging videos and not shorter clips. Earlier in 2025, many users went viral expressing their dislike of shorts and how they felt that type of content would be better suited as its own app separate from YouTube. And guys, do you remember YouTube Kids? Yeah, look at YouTube now. Everything is coming here to fuck everything over. Just like the worst gestalting I've seen in my life. Surprisingly, YouTube responded to the criticism. Yeah, that is surprising. Stating how they appreciate everyone for sharing their candid POVs and relay their thoughts to the relevant product teams. As it's just, we're taking this into account. No, they're not. However, it seems unlikely that YouTube will be limiting how many shorts are shown, especially with how much money they're making. I have to say that shorts are really hit or miss, in my opinion. Hold on, what the fuck is this? There we go. I think they're really hit or miss. I've been getting recommended a bunch of shorts recently. I watched some, I guess. Some of them are okay, some of them I find hilarious. I don't know why, but kinda like the Dark Souls shorts. I don't know anything about those games. I never got into them. I might try them at some point. No promises. Might not be on stream. Probably not on stream the first time I do, anyway. There was a really fun short about curious things about Dark Souls 1. Do you know there's a poop jar in your cell when you start the game? I was like, okay, speaking of poop, I suppose. But then you see a bunch of them are like, oh, it's... this shirt is nothing. I know some of my shorts are pretty ass, okay? I understand my content sometimes just... at best. I get it. I'm my best and worst critic. I be my only critic sometimes. But then again, I see a bunch of shorts and I'm like, okay, but nothing is happening. Aren't shorts supposed to be fast, snappy, dynamic? Whoa! The content here now, but nothing happens. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about shorts. I think it's pretty obvious. Maybe I'm not meant to do shorts after all. Maybe I'm meant to do longs. Good data type, I suppose. Programming joke. Where was I? I finished this. Cool. Back in June, YouTube CEO Neil Mohan, speaking of Indians, speaking of poop throwing, revealed that shorts have surged past TikTok, averaging 200 billion views every single day. That's a lot of views, but then again, some shorts are okay, some shorts are just brain rot, and like, they should have been like an actual video, like an actual 10-minute video with actual information and sources. Because it's interesting, but it's just, trust me bro, it's just a screenshot. Please, I like information, I'm that kind of guy. Shorts have greatly benefited the world's most subscribed YouTuber too. In September it was revealed that Mr. Beast's shorts had overtaken his main videos in total viewership, but that makes sense. It is my understanding that Mr. Beast appeals to younger viewers. Shorts appeal to younger viewers. The guy is really big, it makes sense. His shorts even set the record for views in 24 hours after hitting 68 million views in just one day. Why not 69? Come on. It would be funny. And this on top of with the changes we've seen on YouTube being more about AI apparently. Well, we haven't seen them, I mentioned them. I didn't want to get too much into that. We also have some other strange stuff coming here from YouTube. I have this tweet, you might be thinking, okay, this is a pretty unassuming tweet, what is going on? Hey there, human here! Really appreciate all of these content you shared, and truly apologize for the delay in jumping in to help. We understand how important this is for you, and we're passing all of this helpful info on to our internal team to take a further look now. We'll get back to you as soon as we have updates. Thanks so much for all of your continued patience in the meantime. Kids. Cookie cat response, sure. I was having some trouble with YouTube. Fast terminal controls people, which is something that has been going on recently too. Which is not good. But why is this tweet relevant? But the same guy from the same thread actually speaks right now. I don't think I'll be getting the help I need, but I appreciate everyone who helped anyway. From Sprinkler Care, AI contact center platform. Hey there, human here. Now you're not. Now you're not. So it has come to this strange point in time where YouTube can just, well, can and will just review everything by AI, delete everything by AI, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because you don't really have people working on the site anymore. You may have some, I suppose. You don't really have people working on the site. It's just AI or Indians. AI, actually Indian, both, neither. I don't know. Does the platform work? Barely. So, this is kind of depressing, if you ask me. Not because the AI is a human here, but because they cannot be asked to have actual people working. I mean, you still need actual people working, because something strange might happen. Ask me how I know. What do we have here? Well, YouTube, Google, pretty much is the same here, right? So speaking of YouTube and Google, speaking of AI, this one makes sense. Speaking of poop throwing, my young farmer, how did this happen? Google says, search AI mode will know everything about you. I'm actually not against AI, okay? I think AI is a potentially really useful tool. I've actually used AI before to a positive outcome. I think it was my actual last video, that was not a highlight. The one that I made about accessibility, convenience in video games and whatnot. I actually had to use a little bit of AI to find a specific clip. It was the Brazilian guy just spamming attack Final Fantasy 16 while eating something. It was the easiest way for me to find the clip. Just ask Rock. Okay? My problem with AI is how a lot of people are selling it and a lot of people are actually buying it as some sort of magic cure-all that's gonna fix everything. No, it's not. No, it's not. As a tool, interesting. Has a lot of potential? It does. It's really costly on the back end, sure, but if the tool is powerful enough, there's some sort of balance there, I suppose. I've read a little bit about this specific case, and there are other concerns I have with AI, and that's privacy and safety, which this here is going to completely obliterate. There's no need for the searching AI mode on Google to log into my Gmail, Drive, or whatever else. If you cannot opt out, we're gonna have a problem. It is not for you to decide. But then again, everything belongs to Google. So, is it really private if they can tell you no? Google believes the future of search is going to be more personal than ever, largely due to the increase in large language models usage. I do believe that the AI for searching is actually potentially really useful. I've seen some grave mistakes, but then again, Google nowadays is mostly unusable anyway, with SEO optimization and especially censorship and ads. As part of my getting Gatra, this kind of sounds like it's Zelda Boss, doesn't it? On Twitter, in a recent podcast with Silicon Valley Girl, Google's Robert Stang suggested that the company is exploring ways to let AI mode access Gmail or Google Drive. Join the machine, you cannot say no. Finance at I.O. An opportunity for users in the future to be able to opt into an experience with enhanced personalization, he said. Well, if you're calling it personalization, I'm assuming I can say no, but I know I'm asking too much. It's Google after all. We want people to be able to help Google and help the services know more about you so that they can be more helpful. Could you imagine this? If Google Plus was still a thing? Imagine if Google Plus was actually successful. Dystopian. Getting the heebie-jeebies. That means in the future, AI mode will pull details from your emails, documents, and other Google apps to give truly customized responses. I don't need truly customized responses, taking into account my emails, documents, and other Google apps. If I ask you something, you have to give me that something. But then again, this is Google. That hasn't happened in years at this point, especially not on YouTube. Everything is just recommended. Is this a new, speaking of my truth? I hope not. For example, you can summarize flight information from Gmail, create a schedule using calendar, or pull trip ideas from apps and drive files. Is this, what was the name? Skynet. Took me a little bit. Is this thing attempt at Skynet? It seems kinda lame, actually. That's saying that it's not dangerous. When asked When asked when Google AI Mall will be able to access Gmail or other apps, Stan didn't confirm a date. Also, Stein. Make of that what you will. So to be decided, he said, but added that Google has already begun testing some early versions of this technology. Hold up. Chester, Pokemon Sword and Shield. Oh, I never heard of this one before. Sounds kinda cool, I guess. Okay, now I have to wonder with this. Well, now it doesn't really work anyway, but what would happen here if we take into account European data laws? That would be pretty much fucking illegal. So, funny to say the least. Not like they care, but still. We launched recently some steps in this direction. So in Labs now, you can opt into a new experiment for personalized shopping and local recommendations for restaurants. It's unclear if Google plans to train its model on personal information. This experience will be opting for now. And it's unclear if Google plans to train its model on personal information. Hello? The examples given are personal information. What are we saying here? What are we saying? People not understanding when they talk about journalists, am I right? I need to blow my nose. Give me a second before I continue. I'm getting really stuffy. It's been pretty cold this past couple of days. But I have to admit, there's something I'm wondering about at this point in time, given these recommendations and whatnot. Something that I've seen, and it's not that uncommon, that's, I guess, kind of a problem when online shopping, is variable pricing. A lot of people have talked about this before. Hold up, I'm fronting. Yeah, I'm fronting a little bit too much. I need to fix myself here. Hold up. Can I keep talking in the meantime? Fix yourself. And how to say this? Using cookies and whatnot, you have something on your shopping carts, virtual shopping carts. Prices might change and things might become more expensive because you have shown some interest in it. Okay, I think I fixed myself. I think I fixed myself. There we go. Thing is with that, something we've read about a little bit briefly before would be the concept of equity pricing. That means giving different people different prices for the same product or service. This is a really useful way of doing so. So, is that going to happen? I don't know, but since it's a really good way of doing it, I guess we need to be cautious of such AI giving so personalized recommendations and whatnot. It's hard to tell at this point in time, but I do not trust any of these big corporations. It feels a little bit dangerous, if you know what I'm saying here. Speaking of big corporations, let's talk about a little bit about video games for a while, shall we? GTA 6 is never coming out. It's never coming out. GTA 6 delayed the game further into 2026. Rockstar Games has announced another delay for GTA 6, pushing the long-awaited sequel further into the future. Some people have been saying, oh, it's gonna be ass, isn't it? I don't know if that's the case, but it feels really strange that they keep pushing it further to the future. I don't know why. I guess there's something strange going on. GTA 6 is getting delayed again for its previous May 2026 release for one bit later, on November 19th, 2026. Wasn't the OG release date about current date? I think that is true. So, I don't think this is the Ubisoft playbook, but it seems really strange. Just a second delay for the game. When the long-awaited Grand Crime Adventure sequel does launch, it'll be on Xbox Series X and S and PS5. PC plebeians, not like this. We're sorry for adding additional time to what we realized being a long wait, but these extra months will allow us to finish the game with the level of polish you have come to expect and deserve. Rockstar said in an update. Well, Game Freak said the same shit with Pokemon Legends today and nothing happened. I can believe them a little bit more. I mean, I can believe Rockstar a little bit more than Game Freak when they say something like that. The company added, "We want to thank you again for your patience and support. While the wait is a little longer, we're incredibly excited for players to experience the sprawling state of Leonida and return to modern-day Vice City." I wonder what's going on with testing. There has to be something with Q&A. So, maybe it's actually good. Maybe being a broken master release, and now it's not gonna be. But I find it a little bit strange when it's not the only game that's doing this. Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra is delayed beyond early 2026. At Skydance Games, our goal is to deliver unforgettable premium games. It's a little bit strange to call them premium. Not something we use with games necessarily. With honor the characters and worlds we're fortunate to work with. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra is an ambitious project, and we're committed to ensuring it meets the level of quality that our team, players, and fans expect. It's understandable that they say that, but so many companies are saying that nowadays. So what is going on, truly? I don't know, it feels a little bit strange to me. To fully realize our vision for Marvel 1943, we've made the decision to shift the release window beyond early 2026. We're grateful for the passion and support from the community and players around the world. The team is working hard to create something truly special, and we look forward to sharing more with you as development progresses. And behind GTA 6 delay is an excellent tactic. I guess I can see it. But I don't know, it feels a little bit strange. But to be fair, AAA has not been doing great recently, just in general. Throat still hurts a little bit after talking for a while. I guess that makes sense. Once again, I don't think this is necessarily wrong, but I'm not sure if we're actually seeing a peaks on AAA. I don't know if this guy is counted as AAA. I mean, it's Marvel, but Skydance Games, I don't know who they are. Then again, we have interesting happenings with Square Enix. Square Enix wants AI to handle 70% of QA within 2 years. That's a lot of QA from AI, so I don't know if that's actually a good idea. I don't know if they're gonna mention it here. There's also being a bunch of layoffs on Square Enix. I think they mentioned mainly on the West, which is really funny. There's also another... I saw that in a tweet. I don't know if it was an actual article or not. They were mentioning also Square Enix. Something along the lines of the average age of... I don't know if it was Square Enix games or RPGs, JRPGs in this case, was the ripe age of 42. That was really funny. And as I mentioned that they had some trouble trying to capture the younglings, right? And I'm like, okay, but you only had that trouble after you started trying to change your gameplay loop in games. It's not surprising that people are like, whatever. of course, older people that enjoyed the older Final Fantasy games might try to play the newer ones, but I don't know. You went from turn-based JRPG. I'm not saying TTRPG. It's not on purpose. I'm a little bit TTRPG brained recently. I don't know why. If you change your turn-based JRPG into some sort of hack-and-slash mess like Final Fantasy 16, there's no cohesion in mechanics, right? So you're gonna have trouble no matter what you do. Just go back to the good old age. Don't think they're gonna do it. Square Enix fully aboard the generative AI train. I don't know if this is actually generative AI, but I guess. As part of its latest earnings report on November 6th, the company says that it wants AI to handle at least 70% of its QA and debugging on projects by the end of 2027. QA and debugging. I don't know about that. It could be. I haven't used AI for debugging or anything like that, so I don't actually know what the pitfalls could be here. However, you need your AI to be smarter than the program you're trying to debug, in this case. Should be reasonable, but then again, you need to understand the edge cases. You need to understand how things might or might not break when you're testing stuff. You can teach that to the AI, but then you're assuming AI is not going to choke. And you may have even more broken messes on release. I hope it doesn't happen, but then again, it could be. They said that a joint research project, joint, yeah, I can tell, with the Matsu Laboratory at the University of Tokyo that is aimed at improving the efficiency of game development processes through AI technologies. Square Enix even held a company-wide idea contest with not a frame but a theme, with a theme of AI that has seen several selected ideas developed into projects and currently being promoted internally. We don't really have a lot of information on that, so it's hard to tell what's going on. As far as how the research is being done, Square says that it's a team of more than 10 people. This team includes researchers from the Matsu Iwasawa Laboratory, as well as, not is, of course, engineers from Square Enix. Their whole goal, the company says, is to give them a competitive advantage in game development. That is understandable. That is always understandable, right? Trying to lower costs and improve production. But I'm gonna say something here. I do believe that Square's main problems are not within the mechanics of building the game itself. I don't think the games are broken or anything like that. I actually have to commend them for releasing games that appear to be robust, which nowadays I don't think it's that common. But the problem is the design of the games, right? Echoing once again my feelings about Final Fantasy. I don't like Final Fantasy a lot, but the old games, I can say I played 1 through 10. I played everything there. I like some better than others, of course, but I can appreciate all of them to some extent. Even games that I'm a little bit on, like 4 or 10, but that's another issue, right? The problem is how you keep changing stuff. The problem is that the design philosophy, the mechanics you implement, even though they are not broken, they might not be interesting or what your players want. Once again, even to this day, when you say Final Fantasy, I am still thinking of all the school Final Fantasy. More on the 2D side than the 3D side. Maybe, usually, the class system, which I kind of enjoy, especially Final Fantasy V. But then you have... even with the graphic design part, the newest game feels a little bit like too human and not really anime, which, given Final Fantasy VII, 8, and 9, maybe going a little bit more anime, especially given those hairstyles, could be a good idea. the styles in the PS1 games, of course. But of course, I'm thinking of traditional turn-based RPG, class system, magic system, equipment system, the usual stuff, traditional ideas. And they have Final Fantasy 15 being like, okay, this plays like Kingdom Hearts. Okay, but what if I don't like Kingdom Hearts? What about this thing? It plays like Baby's first Devil May Cry, but what if I don't like that kind of genre? You're just throwing whatever and see if anything sticks, but it's not sticking. That's the main problem with your games nowadays. It doesn't have anything to do with the mechanics themselves being broken. That might be just me. What can you say? This is the first time Square Enix has brought up. Okay, this guy's leading editor too, I guess. Its ambitions for AI. Back in early 2024, President Takashi Kiryu from the Tojo clan said that the company plans to be aggressive in applying AI and other cutting-edge technologies to both our content development and our publishing functions. Sure, you're not attacking the main problem you have in the company anyway. Who cares, I guess. There were even plans to invest in blockchain entertainment in the future. Do not, that already failed. What's gonna be the future? I died. That was fast. It's the pay to earn kind of model. I was never a big fan of that. I always thought that was a really big mistake, and I was right. I sometimes make big mistakes with big technology, big new things that come out, but not often. Instead, the game has returned to Square Enix for comment if this plan wouldn't ultimately lead to layoffs. It already has. Maybe not because of this, but they had layoffs recently anyway. Should the response be received, it will be added to this story. I guess they didn't. But speaking of the layoffs themselves, there's also this tweet here. John Heineke? Heineken? That's a beer, right? I think that's Finnish? I'm not sure. I think it's okay. It's green. Are we sure it's good? Nothing beer itself on the bottle. The chief publishing officer and head of the western branch of Square Enix has officially resigned ahead of the wave of layoffs. He responded, "Peace off," to conserve woke ideology in video games. Heineke was the direct voice of the western market to Japan, which is pretty funny. Let's open this. Let me move my browser a little bit to the side, so we can actually see everything here. Ah, beautiful. I'm just slightly in the way. It's not that bad. From 6 days ago, and the time of the screenshot, which was yesterday, so a week ago. Yesterday I announced to my team at Square Enix that I had decided to resign from my role as a Chief Publishing Officer effective on November 21st. So that's like a 2-week notice, I think. I think it's a little bit more than that. It has been a difficult decision, as it means that I must part with a very talented group of high-performing, impatient co-workers and friends across the US and Europe. They always say that. Of course, nobody's gonna be like, "Those guys? Fucking useless. Holy shit, the biggest clowns I've ever seen in my life." That's the kind of shit I would say. But then again, I'm not a big team player. Imagine that. I wish to, at least once, see somebody saying that. It's gonna be hilarious. Just once, please. Even if it's a joke. It's been my distinct honor to lead, to work alongside, and to learn from such an amazing team. I want to thank the Square Enix leadership team for entrusting me in this role and give me such a fantastic professional opportunity. And I want to thank my teammates in colleges for their support throughout my 7 years at the company. 7 years. Yeah. I mean, it's only Chief Publishing Officer, but yeah. Past 7 years, not so hot in my opinion. Finally, I'd like to thank all of the Square Enix players and fans for your passion and enthusiasm. Your energy keeps our teams fuel more than you know. Sure. I mean, it's just PR speak, I guess. Here we have the screenshot. Work closely with Japan as senior leader of Western publishing business. Interact directly with CEO and leadership team in Japan to illustrate needs and challenges in Western markets and to propose solutions. So, when people are wondering if this guy is a propagandist, this guy might have been a propagandist, which is a big problem. Maybe that's why some of the number games feel a little bit strange. What can you say? Maybe that's why it feels a little bit strange. Maybe that's why it has a bunch of political trouble from the West. Imagine that. I also have this screenshot here. Speaking of poop throwing, it seems so whore. When AAA start pushing agendas, gamers don't want to see it. They pay for it by not buying the game. Fire the long-term failing CEO, and the staff that embrace woke ideology. Peace off. Maybe this guy was actually justified after all. We don't really know. But it feels a little bit strange. Holy fuck, what was that? What did I click here? Hold up. Didn't I press right? It was to replies. Yeah. I need to worry about that then. And whoop. Back to your position. It's hard to say if this is gonna be some sort of renaissance for the company. I truly wish that's the case. I don't want to hate all of these companies, despite what I keep saying about me loving to hate. I love to hate because there's a lot of stuff I don't like, and I'd rather hate it than just having to accept it. You cannot blame me for that, I don't think. Also, just hating sometimes feels good. What can you say? Being a hater sometimes just feels good. But I'd rather have good games that I enjoy from the company than having to hate them. Especially because, I keep saying this, I don't think there has been any news in years. But I do feel a little bit for the newest Dragon Quest. I'm a kind of a recent Dragon Quest fan. That's a known fact. I got into the games thanks to Dragon Quest Die 2020. It's a pretty cool anime. That led me to play the games. I had to admit, the games are pretty cool. I tried to play them a long time ago. I didn't get into them. I got into them. I like them. I played for a bunch of them. Like half of the main series. I played 1 to 5 and 11. So I'm missing a bunch of them in the middle that are really long. Like 7. 7 is really long, for example. But the thing is, something that's been said about Dragon Quest 12 that's in the works currently was that they're changing and modernizing the combat system. And like, okay, but the combat system, I think it works. Sure, it's somewhat simple, but it's good. You have all of the enemies, and the enemies are then divided into smaller groups. So you have effects that affect a single enemy, a group of enemies, or all enemies. For example, single target spells, group spells, global spells. I think it's interesting. I think it's a little bit more interesting than Final Fantasy in that regard. It's not just use the biggest spell, target everything, and just kill them. There's a little bit of nuance there. Even though magic in Dragon Quest I don't think is that powerful, aside from specific enemies or specific magics. Magic Burst, yeah, cool spell. Spend all of your MP to deal massive damage. So, it's a little bit strange. We're also seeing time and time again, both Dragon Quest, both Final Fantasy, constant censorship, which is not good. Oh, look, it's the female warrior. Censored. Why? Oh, it's the... what's the name? It has several names. The Chester class in Dragon Quest 3. It has a bunch of different names, but the main appeal of the class is, even though it's weak, it can promote into Sage without using the special item. The guy looks like a clown, the girl looks like a bunny girl. Censored. Tifa, censored 4 years after they released the game. It keeps happening. That's not good. Censorship bad. If you don't like it, don't buy it. If it's too spicy for you, don't buy it. I do the same. It's too censored for me. I'm not buying it. I think that makes sense. For once, it makes sense. Do you have some more replies here? He's on Jimmy Kimmel. Ah, of course. This will drop the ball on freedom of speech. Sure thing, pal. So they value the branding merger more than free speech. It was not about free speech. Get your head out of your ass, come on. Ooh, this guy was a former Blizzard executive who was hired at the Square Enix in late 2018. I actually didn't know that. That's pretty funny. After his hiring in 2018, Activision Blizzard employees began to filter into Square Enix in every department. The marketing, PR, and the communications department all working together at Blizzard. Square Enix became an Activision Blizzard reunion. Ah, that would explain a lot. Because let's be real, Activision Blizzard, that was not good. Blizzard was okay, Activision was okay. The merging, fucking disaster. Keeps happening, I don't know why. A couple more articles about game stuff still. Wow, we have a lot of time. That's good. At this point I'm usually like, oh boy, we have like 15 minutes. No, we're doing pretty okay today. We have this. I thought it was interesting. I haven't read this. I want my first impression to be here for everybody. IP holders are sitting in a wealth of content. Analytics firm lists 18 games ripe for remake or remaster success. My position on remakes and remasters is pretty well known at this point. I don't like them, because usually they're worse than the original release, which is hilarious. Ampere has identified the titles likely to succeed based on its data and research. This should be a link to the past, right? I think it's good. I think it's good as it is. I hope they have a list. I think they do. I mean, they mention 18 for a reason, right? Lists 18 games. Where's the list? Data analytics firm Ampere Analysis has identified 18 games that it says are ripe for a successful remake or remaster. Okay. I looked at the first one being Assassin's Creed. Earlier this week, Ampere stated that video game consumers, they keep saying that. Customers, paying customers, spend twice as much on remakes as remasters in the last 2 years. Do you count remakes and remasters of different things? I don't think you should. Once again, it's partly because of nostalgia, it's partly because the games are still very good, even though they might be censored, even though they might be lacking content, like the Final Fantasy remasters, I suppose. Did they have new content? No. You could play the new Final Fantasy Tactics Collection or Legacy or whatever it's called. It doesn't have Worth the Liars content. You could play the Pixel remasters. They don't have the GBA additional content. Sure, it's based on the original release, but then you have an absolute mess of remakes, remasters, different versions of the same game. Just play the one that has the most content, I suppose. According to its research, video game remakes and remasters released across 2024 and 2025 attracted 72.4 million players across Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. With these consumers, oh, I love the trash, spending some 1.4 billion USD on premium full games and microtransactions. Ah, disgusting, I don't like it. Now, in your presentation discussing the subject of remakes and remasters further, Ampere Analysis Senior Analyst, Katie Holt, I believe I've seen this woman before. This name sounds familiar, I don't know why. Has listed 18 games that should sell well. That's the only thing that matters. Selling well. Are they to be remade or remastered based on the firm's analysis of the market and consumer behaviors and attitudes? Hall noted that IP holders are sitting on a wealth of content ripe for remakes and remasters. We have more than enough remakes and remasters. Nowadays, if you see a game that sells a lot, it's probably a remake or remaster. Maybe a lucky in the game. This list isn't exhaustive. Identify the following games as potential candidates. Okay, for remakes. Assassin's Creed, I guess. Chrono Trigger. Now, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. Chrono Trigger, as is just beautiful. it's perfect. If you try to remake it, it's gonna look like ass, and it's probably gonna be censored. Once again, the curse of being made by Akira Toriyama, the drawing is a list. And I don't think Chrono Trigger's that spicy. But still. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. The game is good as it is. You don't need to remake it. If you were to remake it, I'm assuming with the Fisher Price kind of look that Link's Awakening remake had, I think that's actually a detriment. Because it shouldn't be that toy happy looking. And Link to the Past is actually kind of dark. Especially when you take into account the Dark World. They have some really strange designs that I truly love. If you try to remake them, they're probably going to look like ass. Also, if you like A Link to the Past, you have A Link Between Two Worlds, or A Link Between Worlds. Not successor, because that's wrong. The sequel in the 3DS. It's an actual sequel. If you see the name in Japanese. A Link to the Past. Kamigami no Trifusu. The Triforce of the Gods. Link Between Worlds. Kamigami no Trifusu 2. Triforce of the Gods 2. Direct continuation. So, of course, the same map, right? I've never played that game, actually. I would need to get to that at some point. I still need to finish Wind Waker. Fallout. I don't know enough about Fallout 1 to say. But I do believe that Fallout is just the product of its time. And it's really specific with the people that made it. So I don't think a remake is a good idea either. Rayman Origins, no idea about Rayman. Resident Evil 5, it's probably going to happen. But they're gonna get a lot of backlash anyway. How is it possible that you have white people killing the blacks because they're zombies, man? It's the same as Leon killing Spaniards in 4 or killing Americans in the other games, okay? It's the same. They just happen to be zombies, it's fine. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Don't know enough about Uncharted. Remaster, let's say. Batman Arkham Origins. I don't know about that. Bloodborne. See, this could be a good idea. For a PC release, at least. Bully. Wouldn't be a bad idea if you fix the absolute junk the game has. Dragon Origins. I don't believe it holds up to this day. The Elder Scrolls Morrowind. Why give me Morrowind when you can just give me Skyrim again? I don't know about Morrowind, but maybe. Fallout New Vegas. Red Dead Redemption 2? What are we saying here? This game is canon, no? Didn't this release in 2018? Hold up. ...2018... ...for the PS4... ...Xbox One... ...and PC... ...you don't need to remaster Red Dead Redemption 2... ...it actually looks amazing to this day... ...what are we saying? It's okay, it's not gonna sell again... ...it's like that... ...PlayStation game... ...that they remade or remastered that was something like this... ...the Horizon game... ...I think it was the second one, or the first one, I'm not sure... ...also got like a remaster, I'm like... Wow! Kinda look the same, I don't know. It's really strange. I guess the remaster for Fallout New Vegas could make sense. To fix the jank once again. Remake or remaster? God of War 2005. Maybe. The new God of Wars are a little bit lame from what I've read. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. It's probably the best Assassin's Creed they released. From what I've seen, so probably a bad idea. Far Cry. Yes, it could be kinda old. And this is fucking hilarious. What the hell? The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. So we need to remake a remake. That's funny. I mean, graphics-wise, the 3DS version looks really good. You don't need a remake or remaster. I guess if you want to re-release in this version, you will need a remaster to fuck with the two-screen kind of layout, but that's it. I guess you could upscale the models and all that. I think OG Ocarina of Time still looks good to this day. Not gonna lie. The presentation then shows 5 examples and broke them down further. explaining how the research identified them as prime candidates for remakes or remasters, suggesting that the original God of War could work as either a remake or remaster. Surely it's not gonna be censored, right? The minigame about fucking? It's gonna stay. With Meng. Hall pointed out that the game was released in 2005, and that in the 20 years since then, the series' hack-and-slash gameplay has been refined, thanks to the RPG elements introduced by the 2018 reboot. I don't think a lot of people are fond of the newer games, thanks to the changes in narrative. The God of War, some people call them. Not a fan, so I wouldn't know, but... you know. Other than Pierce analysis, finds that over 20% of players in each age group under 45 have stated that they're fans of the God of War franchise. Okay, hold up. I wasn't gonna say anything about this, but then I realized this has layers to it. Over 20% of players in each age group under 45. Do you understand that there may be fans of different games of the franchise? The same as I just said about Final Fantasy. Really. So maybe trying to unify that is a false errand. Who knows? Another series still has an active community, with a peak of 11.45 million monthly active users in November 2022, when God of War Ragnarok was released, and is still healthy 2.4 million users in September 2025. I don't think they're adding concurrent players. I think they're just adding everything up, which might give you an inflated amount. I would like to see the methodology for that amount. She also warned, however, that simply remaking the game wasn't a guaranteed success. We need to change them. It has to be lame and gay. Put a woman in it. The memes. The memes! Let's praise both combat and narrative for the early God of War titles, and deviating too far from this could cause backlash from the original fans, she said. How do we know this? Because it already happened. That's with the narrative. However, expanding the narrative and cinematics, and updating some gameplay elements, may broaden the title's appeal. Expanding. Updating. That's never fun to read. God of War was another highlighted example, and Pew has highlighted that as a potential candidate for a remaster rather than a remake, with Holt noting that as it was a PS4 title, preferences have not seen a massive shift since last generation, so a gameplay or narrative overhaul is not necessary. What people want is just a port to PC. If you want to remaster it, upscale everything, sure, I guess. I don't think it's important, but whatever. Might as well have a better version. Better. Sure. However, because all ages under 45 overrepresent in their enjoyment of the Dark Souls franchise, yeah, I'm saying, and because Elden Ring's monthly active users peaked at 14.4 million, that's actually a lot, what the hell? Are they adding all of the users per day? That feels like a lot. I don't know if that is a true metric. But being Elden Ring, guess I could believe it. Shut to tell. Once again, I would like to see the methodology. They don't mention it here. There's not a link for me to click. And Pierre leaves this show saying appetite for a Blood War remaster. Just a port, it's fine. You have the unofficial PS4 port. I think it works nowadays, I'm not sure. Please enjoy the eerie atmosphere and gothic aesthetic. So to capture this essence, you will enjoy a faithful remaster, Holt explained. I think it's mostly about the mechanics. But I guess that's fine. Oh, they're gonna mention Zelda here. Sure. And we also highlighted the original Fallout and Fallout New Vegas, stating that they would be suitable for a remake and remaster respectively. In that the series peaked at 16.8 million active monthly users in April 2024, following the debut of the Fallout TV series. Ugh, imagine that. Also noted that the original 1997 Fallout game was a PC exclusive, and that the control system, user interface, and combat may be considered outdated by some. Do you know that this is usually by design? Younger people preferring newer stuff doesn't mean it's correct, doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it makes sense. I never played Fallout, so I wouldn't know. But I think it's a little bit more like a traditional RPG than just action RPG. There's nothing wrong with that. Do we need to send in the Square Enix rant to? I guess. Along with its limited voice acting and technical constraints holding back in a major interactive dialogue systems. Sure, I guess. I guess that's fair. Pointing out that the success of Baldur's Gate 3 shows there is still a modern appetite for similar RPGs. All sense of remake will be necessary, suggesting significant gameplay adjustments will be needed to bring the title in line with modern gaming expectations. Modern gaming expectations. I don't think you know what you're talking about. Me enjoying action games doesn't mean I don't enjoy turn-based games. Turning a turn-based game into an action game might be a disaster if you don't know what you're doing. Turn-based is actually really nuanced after all. But rich role-playing elements should remain as a focal point to maintain the original essence. While New Vegas, however, will only need remaster in Pure's opinion, because the game's narrative legacy comes from its consequence-driven dialogue choices. Nah, it's because it's an action game already. Say the problem, all bad, because we don't like those mechanics. New or good, because it's more action-packed. Then we have people enjoying turn-based strategy. Those strange people. Maybe there's a visual overhaul more than a mechanical or narrative one. Say what I mean. Say what I mean. There's nothing wrong with having turns. Bringing the graphics to modern platforms would encourage original fans to revisit the title, Holt said. We can sell the same shit twice. Beautiful. Some games give you the updates for free. Those being The Witcher 3 and allegedly Dragon Ball Kakarot. A strange pair, but it works. Finally, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past was identified as a remake candidate, with all noting that 70% of all players are fans of the series, and 54% of fans are aged between 25 and 44. Yeah, and you know what we do? We play the old games, because they're good. I think A Link to the Past is probably peak 2D Zelda game. Even though I will always say, Turtle games are my favorites, A Link to the Past just peak Zelda. And that's undeniable. There's nothing you can do about it. It's also packed with fucking content, even though it was the SNES. Peter made in the same style as 2019's remake of Game Boy Adventure Link's Awakening. It wouldn't work. This style doesn't work with A Link to the Past. I'm sorry. You could use this style potentially for the Oracle games, but I do believe that the Oracle games are a little bit darker too. Especially Oracle of Ages. It has some really dark scenes. This toy-like appearance doesn't really work with that. Why is nobody mentioning Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, huh? Just remaking it to Dark Souls at this point. Ah shit, I said that out loud. I'm manifesting. That's a little bit scary. While you could make a strong case for a number of titles in this catalog, all said, he had decided to focus on A Link to the Past as a remake candidate. And while long-time fans consider it one of the best in the series' history, staging and world design can be considered outdated, and the narrative is relatively linear by today's standards. A lot of games don't really have a lot of narrative, and that's not necessarily wrong. The thing is, dungeon and world design considered outdated. I think it's beautiful 2D. It works wonders. There's nothing wrong with anything in dungeons or the world. Some of them are annoying, but they're annoying by design. God, the fucking Ice Palace, that's always a massive pain in the ass, right? Turtle Rock, that's always a massive pain in the ass, but they're the later dungeons. They are supposed to be annoying. It's later in the game? Fuck you. But there's nothing strange, uncanny, jank on the design of the game. Searching for The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past remake on Reddit. Returns 48,200 souls. Another reason not to do it. And Pierce analysis shows and the company has suggested that Nintendo could take a faithful retro-modeling approach to the remake, similar to that used for the Link's Awakening remake in 2019. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it will work way better in HD 2D, even though they cannot use it because Square Enix has the patent for that. Yes, they had the patent for that. And peer analysis earlier this week found that across 42 titles examined, 15 remakes and 27 remasters released between January 2024 and September 2025, global spending average on an average remake was more than twice that of the average remaster at 2.2 times. I was having a little bit of trouble trying to parse that into words. However, NPR acknowledged that while the data suggests remakes can rejuvenate classic IP and attract new audiences, they require substantially higher investment in development, marketing, and time. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Remaking is harder than upscaling shit. Ah! How do you know that? I don't know, it's pretty obvious. Remasters, by contrast, offer faster turnaround and lower cost, but generally deliver less engagement, it says, because it's literally the same fucking game. Then again, I had to mention this, I don't think a lot of people get into remakes and remasters because, oh, they have so much to offer. Usually because, wow, this game was good before, and we get a new release, that's kinda cool. I don't need to emulate my PS1 Final Fantasy Tactics, I can just buy it on Steam. And even though that is true, because that is factually true, what I'm saying, it also shows that there's a lot of disdain for new games, actual new games. And there's also the fact that... Who was it? Was it Sony? Was it Square? Maybe it was both. They keep saying that to make actual new games, they keep to selling remakes and remasters to fuel money into the new projects, which I understand, but it shows a failing business, because nothing new you're making is actually profitable, which is a little bit scary. I'm not saying your company should collapse, but it's probably going to happen, no matter what I say here. But that's why they release so many remakes, because they still sell, because they are usually better than newer games. And if consumers, not talking about customers here, consumers were to evolve, to promote into the customer class again, to have a further human evolution and be a little bit more pragmatic, they wouldn't even buy most of the remakes and remasters because they're, once again, they are not that good. There's nothing wrong with the Oblivion remake, there's nothing wrong with Link's Awakening remake, but then you have Pixel Remaster, GBA was better. I guess not counting Final Fantasy III because it didn't have a GBA release. Sure. I'd rather have more classes in the GBA version of 5 than whatever the Steam version has. The same with the Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster and a bunch of others. Right? I don't think it's wrong to remake the games, but if we look at the list, it's laughable. Red Dead Redemption 2. Are we for fucking real? This game released yesterday, right? 2018 just feels like yesterday. It looks good. Does have a lot of troubles mechanics-wise. It has a little bit of jank, which is sure, whatever. So the remakes here, I guess it would make sense. But some of these games, if you remake them, they just won't work. But it's just about selling. So they don't really care. Excuse me, I need to blow my nose again. Hold up. Once again, my point with all of this, just emulate. Do yourself a favor, just emulate. It's way better, way easier. That was a big one. I think I need another teaching on hand, just in case. Get a new bag later after stream. Being a rough week, what can you say? Now let us go to Japan for a little bit. Let us talk about some happenings in Japan before we get to the funny final article for today. So let's talk a little bit about this. This was from last week. PC adds new censorship restrictions to comply with international laws. Keeps happening. I think I showed it last time. I don't think so. I had this for last week, but I was just tapping out. Pixel announced changes to their content restriction policy, announcing that they will now apply to regions such as New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and the European Union. Cool. Pixel and other sites which host adult content have been on the front lines of recent pushes for censorship. Both payment processors and international lawmakers have been tightening their grip on what users are allowed to draw, view, or purchase. Sometimes it's not even illegal, but they're making some of this stuff illegal, like lolly, right? I know that it's illegal in Australia, might be in New Zealand. I don't know about Canada or the EU. Then again, the EU is not a country. The thing with the EU is really strange. I mentioned this before many times, just like a non-elected super government. Democracy, by the way. Earlier this year, radical feminist group Collective Shout claimed victory after itch.io and Steam were forced to comply with the demands of payment processors including MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, and Stripe. Isn't Stripe the system? No, Swift is the system, hold up. It's similar names. Sounds like Pixel and Patreon have been dealing with this for longer. Last year, Pixel announced restrictions for US and UK customers, and seems more countries will be unable to fully interact with the site. You can find Pixel's full announcement here. We've included a small snippet below. As of November 10th, 2025, PC will be updating the restrictions for healthy expression in specific countries and regions, section for terms of use to expand the list of applicable regions. If you don't have a VPN, get one. Even when they are finally outlawed, because that's also coming. The countries and regions listed above will be added to the scope of the restrictions for healthy expression in specific countries and regions. That is, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and the EU. The region, not a country, whatever. Existing provisions, which were previously written separately by country or region, will be consolidated and rewritten for improved clarity. That makes sense, I guess. A clause regarding the limitation of access to certain works in the applicable countries and regions will be added. Please note that this is already stated in our guidelines, and this revision is to reflect it clearly in the terms of use as well. It is not intended to expand the scope of access restrictions in currently applicable regions. In the meantime, users are encouraged to use VPNs and change their accounts regions to Japan. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. There are some free VPNs out there. I think one of the best is probably Proton. That's the one I use. Sometimes you need to gamble a little bit because they're gonna give you a random country from a small selection. But it's free, so I can't really complain too much about it. Whoops, can't show that on. Fucking you. Great. Democracy, by the way. Freedom of speech, by the way. God fucking damn it. There's also this thing that I think might be interesting. No interference in creative works. Japanese government proposes new policy for anime and game expansion in the West. Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry proposes new policy guidelines for the Japanese content and anime industries. From Japan, for Japan. Keep Japan Japanese. That may be seen as racist. I don't fucking care. We fucking weebs love Japan because it's different. We don't want Japan to become the West. We also don't want the West to become Japan. You can enjoy different things because they're different. You cannot say that. Why are you so racist? Why can't we flood the West and Japan with infinite immigrants? Well, I don't know. I don't want them in my country. What about that? Ah, you cannot say that? Why not? Why not? All of the tweets I'm saying about immigration and nationality are hilarious. Are you telling me I'm not British? Are you telling me I'm not Canadian? Your parents are Chinese. No, I don't think so. Sure, you have the nationality, but there are other things that are important. If I tell people my family has been living here in this strange corner of the unknown map for hundreds of years, potentially thousands, I think it's fair when you say, maybe I'm actually from here, and not somebody that arrived yesterday. But that's not the point of the article, I suppose. Just going on a strange tangent. Feeling spicy. This October, the Japanese Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, held its 8th Entertainment and Creative Industrial Policy Seminar, during which it proposed 5 key principles of its new policy guidelines for the Japanese content industry, including video games, anime, manga, film, and music. As reported by Otaku Soken, the new guidelines have been announced as part of the strategy to achieve the government's goal of expanding the overseas market size for domestic content to 20 trillion yen by 2033. Seems like a lot of money, but the yen is kind of fucked. So it's not that insane. It's still in the billions, I bet. This comes only a month after the Japan Business Federation, Dunding, issued an urgent message calling on the government to provide immediate large-scale and long-term support for the country's content industry. The 5 key principles of the entertainment and creative industries policy are listed as follows. Large-scale, long-term strategic support. Makes sense. Support force to spread Japan-made content to the world. That's good, but I'm assuming it's gonna keep the Japanese identity. Interference in the content of creative works. Is that going to include strange translations? I hope so. We've seen some really strange stuff here on stream. Provide direct support and prioritize those willing to take a challenge. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that's nice. Not something you usually see from such a collectivistic country like Japan. Collectivistic and traditionalist. I know how to speak sometimes. In light of recent events, especially aggressive content restrictions and global pressure, I wonder who. From payment processing firms, the third principle of the policy has been attracting attention in particular. As explained by Matty, the government's goal is to invest in IPs, human resources, and digital technologies, as well as support international distribution networks and overseas investments into building fandoms. Don't like the term fandom. I know what they mean here, right? Just groups of fans. But thanks to the advent of the internet, fandom, especially in the most recent times, has become like a kind of a red flag. You're gonna see the most annoying pieces of shit you've ever seen in your life. I understand what you're saying, I guess. Consequently, the third principle was suggested to reassure creators that their freedom of expression will be protected, and that government backing does not imply that the content of the works will be meddled with in any way. Holy shit, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's a little bit more down here. Furthermore, Clause 4 of the policy, which is direct support, of the policy proposal suggests that there will be more transparency behind the support process, meaning less reliance on intermediary companies, and more of the support directly reaching those involved in integration and popularization of content. As for the reasons behind the new policy proposal, Meta cites main results in its previous efforts to expand the overseas market size for domestically produced content. Joking a little bit, hold up. On some of the measures, these show results, Meta suggests that they were still at a low level compared to other countries like South Korea. Interesting. The ministry recommended they weren't able to expand their stock of tangible/intangible assets, raise level productivity and wages to a satisfactory level. It's a work in process, I guess it's okay. I'm hoping that the new policy helps Japanese with this content conquer the world. Japan, Ichiban. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think that's gonna be actually pretty useful for Japan. Another way of keeping Japanese media uh, from being touched in strange ways, and maybe they won't have so much trouble trying to release adaptations, as we've seen some stuff has been pretty censored recently. I guess One Punch Man comes to mind with the opening one not. People will always bitch. What can you say? But this seems good. Investing into their own cultural exports. It makes sense instead of killing their own culture. Finally, holy shit! I need to take a sip here. I'm dying. I think we're gonna go a little bit over time today. It's probably fine. It's not gonna be like an hour and a half, like a couple of weeks ago. That was crazy. 30-minute article took me more than an hour to get through. Also from Japan, we still have this thing here. Japan's DL-side launches otaku-friendly Twitter clone. It's already becoming a haven for adult-themed artwork. After the launch of its own payment alternative. By the way, don't tell anyone, okay? We don't want the normies here. DL-side now has its own social media platform, resembling Twitter with an emphasis on otaku culture. Yes, see otaku. That makes sense. Asus, the company that runs Japan's major digital comic and game platform DL-side, has launched a demo version of its new social media platform, Pomu. Pronounced Pom-U, but it says Pomu. I don't know. They may be trying to write this as it was Romaji, but they failed. I have no idea. I'm gonna read it as if it is Romaji. With the catchphrase, a friendly secret hangout place for otaku, the site is catered towards fans of anime, manga, and video games, as well as creators who want to share and promote their work. Pomu is a flanker site of DL Channel, an existing community network created for users to discuss otaku content hosted on DL sites, which makes sense. I just in DL site. If you want to buy Naruto shit, this is the place. Or it was the list, I don't know, nowadays. If it's banned from the West. On the site that is more form-based, the new Pomu works like a typical social media platform. Every time I say that name, I think of the now graduated vtuber from Ninja Sanji. That was a single M though. Resembling Twitter/X with its short-form posts and live timeline system. I've noticed the toggle R18 content, oh spicy, button that sits right on top of the homepage for quick switching between safe for work and not safe for work browsing. That's an interesting mechanic. I'd say that maybe Twitter could implement something like that too. Much like the one that can be seen on DL Channel. Given that DL site has a reputation for hosting numerous adult-themed works and resisting censorship attempts from credit card companies, Japanese users have high expectations about Pomu, offering a high degree of freedom in this respect. I don't think they're gonna have a lot of trouble. If they don't have payment, yeah, they cannot really meddle into that. As spotted by IT Media, the platform has already been flooded by mature rated illustrations by early adopters, as it should be. That was always social media, that was always the internet, okay? Always the weirdos. Make no mistake about that. In noticing its demo phase, Pomu is still missing many basic features, but the development team is encouraging users to send feedback and requests for future updates via inquiries, which makes sense. They're probably missing some obvious stuff they're gonna add anyway, so don't need to worry too much about that. You can register for a Pomu account using a Vivian ID, which is the same ID used for the alternative payment system the site implemented a couple of months ago. That's pretty good. Everything is coming together here. After giving up on international credit card brands. That seems good. It seems that Japan may be able to fix their shit, which is pretty nice to see for once. You can only hope. Bashing of freedom. It's kind of funny. But I guess it's not unexpected to some degree. And that is finished for today. We're going a little bit over time. I think that's okay. It's not gonna be an hour. I don't think it's gonna be an hour. I shouldn't be yapping too much about this. I found this article the other day and I thought it was hilarious. So we need to talk about this. It's from The Atlantic, I believe, which is also pay to win, semi-missing an archive. The Great Masculinization by Steffi Gilbert. America's rapidly becoming the manosphere. But sure, let's go after women. I only saw this, and I knew this would be a riot of an article. Let's get to it. How long is it? Okay, it's not that long. It's way shorter than the last time. Helen Andrews' essay, The Great Feminization, reached my feed on the same day. The further spread of the East Wing of the White House. Oh boy. The space traditionally reserved for the First Lady and her staff, reduced to rubble. Destroyed. They are remaking it. Bigger and better, right? This is a really strange complaint already. The spectacle was almost too on the nose. Here was the nexus of women's limited history within the executive branch. Once home to Jacqueline Kennedy's Rose Garden, and Laura Bush's restored movie theater, and totally demolished. Then we talk about... you know... what was her name? I don't remember. I should know this. Comes up all the time. You know, the girl... the woman that did the... sloppy toppy to Bill Clinton. Yeah, that's also a really good history that should be preserved, right? That's fine. Cocaine? Yeah, that's also fine. Donald Trump has made clear his wishes to put a new ballroom in the East Wing's place. But this planned addition to 1600? I guess that's how you're supposed to say it. Pennsylvania Avenue also includes the installation of an Ultimate Fighting Championship Octagon for America's 250th birthday celebration. That sounds really cool. Is America back? I wish that was my country too. The former UFC star Conor McGregor, an Irishman whose Wikipedia subsection for rape and sexual assault cases is 942 words long, was specially hosted by the president in the Oval Office in March. Not the Wikipedia! Not the Wikipedia! I'm not saying this guy is innocent or anything like that, but using Wikipedia as a source. Journalism. So, about that great feminization, Andrew's thesis, published by the online magazine Compact, is that everything wrong with institutions in America comes down to the growing influence of women. Women, she argues, this women on women violence, have implemented wokeness across the land, and her evidence for this is the outrage over Larry Summers' comments. I don't know who that is. The outrage. I don't know if this is gonna work. President of Harvard resigns, ending a stormy 5-year tenure. No idea. Comments about whether women may have less natural aptitude for math and science. Right? I think that's pretty well known, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They're better with other stuff anyway. Which led to his resignation as president of Harvard University in 2006. It's been 20 years. And you're still complaining. Maybe we're not so different after all. Her 3,400-word essay seems to show that wokeness is inherently feminine, pricing empathy over rationality, safety over risk, cohesion over competition. Okay, hold up. I haven't seen that essay, but so far, where's the lie? So far, where's the lie? And that women, with all our feelings and conflict avoidance, are running the nation's most fundamental institutions. Like the army, I've seen. If women continue to make inroads, she argues, into the ranks of doctors and lawyers, and judges and business people, then the irrationing of insanity in 2020, by which she means the mass protests and efforts to address racial inequality following the death of George Floyd. It's not about DEI, and yet you have to mention George Floyd, the fentanyl man. What is going on? It's just pure virtue signaling at this point. It's crazy. But it's just a small taste of what the future holds. Where's the lie? because you keep saying racial inequality when talking about George Floyd, which is absolutely hilarious. This fellow was a drug addict and a career criminal, which is not something to be celebrated. Do you want to talk about George Floyd? Sure, let's talk about George Floyd. Let's talk about opioids and big pharma. That's a big problem. That is a big problem. But now I has to be racial inequality. Has to be racial inequality because he was killed by Fent. He was killed by Fent. It was not the officer. He was killed by Fent. It was an overdose. Okay, I've seen the autopsy. I've seen what the doctor said. Yes, any other case, I would say this was an overdose. They didn't say it was an overdose because they would be eaten alive by BLM and the protesters, okay? We all know that. God damn it. The great feminization catastrophizes wildly about the future. I mean, are you gonna tell me that the past 10 to 15 years have been good? Society-wise? I don't think so. Personally, because what's happening in the present utterly undermines its central thesis. 85% of Republicans in Congress are men. It's not about the government. It's about who has an iron claw on not just entertainment, but society and culture. Not that long ago, how dare you not use pronouns? You're fired. You're cancelled. That's not normal. That's not normal behavior. What can you tell? What can you say here? Oh, look at this guy. He sexually assaulted me. The guy touched you on the arm to ask you out for coffee. That's not assault. That's normal social interaction. Maybe you didn't like the guy. Sure, that's fine. Just say no. You can just say things. Well, this woman is just saying things at this point, I guess. From January to August, an estimated 212,000 women left the American workforce, while 44,000 men gained jobs. Black women are being disproportionately, perhaps even intentionally, excised from the federal workforce. It's really funny you bring this up. It's like 70% of black women that have college degrees work for the government. Yes, you heard that right. I did not make a mistake. So, when you keep adding people where they maybe shouldn't be with diversity policies, if you have a more pragmatic government, they're gonna be like, okay, these people are useless, get them out. Also, have you seen the Doge, the Doge thing? I don't remember the proper name. The USAID and all that. Yeah, there was a lot of people sucking from the jar that shouldn't be there. So it's not surprising. Continuous assessment from The Anchor, only 4 of the top 100 American films in 2025 so far have been directed or co-directed by women. Yeah, and I know the kind of point she's trying to make, but it's not working because she's not actually engaging with the argument that's actually being made. It's not about the people that are there, it's about how culture and society are being shaped or were being shaped in the last 15 years. Democrats are currently so desperate for strong male role models to promote as candidates, they're all tangled up over whether a poorly made Oysterman's not so simple to do is defensible. Yes, because they have completely lost the votes of the young men. Because you keep appealing, not the young men. Imagine that. Young men are fed up. And they're gonna be like, you wanna screw me over and you expect me to vote for you? No. You can just say no. It's that easy. As promotions run wild, cabinet members roll in public like rhesus monkeys on HGH. In September, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, reportedly told the Federal Housing Finance Agency Director, Bill Pult, I'm gonna punch you in your fucking face. I know I want to punch you in the nose, you goddamn son of a bitch. Is this Alex Jones? What's going on here? Because President Harold Bolt had been talking to Trump about him behind his back. Yet also refutes Andrews' arguments that men wake up openly while women covertly undermine and ostracize their enemies. The difference here is the guy was, I'm gonna punch you in the nose, and women would be like, as we've seen, I'm gonna get you fired, I'm gonna dox you, well not necessarily dox you, not necessarily doxing, but I'm gonna get you cancelled. That has been the metagame for the past decade. I know, I've been here, you cannot lie to me. I've seen them with this beautiful eyes that I have. Also in September, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, summoned all of the nation's generals to Washington and gave an erratic lecture about facial hair and implementing male standard for combat roles. I don't know, feels like a nothing burger, I have no idea. In April, a Fox News Chiron called Trump's tariffs manly, as a roundtable discussed whether they might even be able to reverse the crisis of masculinity, presumably by making soybean farmers so poor they have to join ICE for the signing bonus. That's hilarious. I don't think they were being factual with that, I think it was just a funny haha, right? Calling it manly because he's stepping down on what he sees as enemies. He's not being permissive. He's being like, you wanna be annoying? You wanna screw me over? No, tariffs. You're gonna pay for it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Isn't that like a big white guy phrase? So I still struggle a little bit to understand the point of the article. Let us keep going. I'm assuming she's gonna mention at some point the likes of Andrew Tate, but I'm not sure. With respect to Andrews, in the midst of all of this, the testosterone adult executive branch, also the typical legislative and compromised judiciary, that are bending to its will, even though I've seen it, so many judges trying to screw Orange Man over, saying, no, you cannot do this, he's the president, he can, and he will. I don't know what you say. Yes, he comes across someone watching a tsunami roll over Coastal City and complaining about trash collection. In this particular era, with mass officers, overwhelmingly male, as far as anyone can tell from bystander footage, the deploying tear gas as families were assembling for a Halloween parade isn't the optimal moment to the head count of the number of women at the New York Times extrapolate end times for the age of reason. Okay, you mentioned several things here that we need to address. Masked officers, they need to be, because we've seen many people, even from the government, I suppose more local government, but even from the government saying, we're gonna dox you and we're gonna make your life a living hell because you're an ICE agent. Which is insane to me. Deploying tear gas as families when assembling for a Halloween parade. DJ's ICE Border Patrol, Chicago tear gas. If you're a legal citizen, you have nothing to fear. If you have a bunch of illegals getting uppity and they have to escalate to tear gas, it's not their fault. Stop housing illegal immigrants in your country. That's a bad idea. They are criminals by default. Why would they stop committing crimes? It's a huge security problem. To me, it's much easier to see that what's really wrong with American culture right now is a slow dripping fusion of toxic masculinity. Is this 2014? It's been receiving since 2016, the grab him by the pussy lick, and Trump that bitch, and such a nasty woman. What about shut up silly woman? I love that clip, it's beautiful. It certainly requires less cherry picking, less after philosophical hand wringing. The political reality in 2025 is that our government is a stereotypically masculine, stick measuring contest in a weight room. As in throughout the performative aggression, as in a legal cage fight, outside of politics, God stands for culture, America's favorite national pastime seems to be gambling, weed, gaming, and Joe Rogan. Are you gonna tell me that weed is masculine? I don't think it is. I've only seen the biggest soy boys enjoying the weed. Also, mentioning Joe Rogan is if only Americans watch Joe Rogan is a little bit facetious, so I don't know about that. Gambling. Are we saying gacha games here? I don't think so. I don't know. Women still read more than men do. Also, gaming. But I thought most gamers were women. So what is going on here, woman? What are we saying? I love using propaganda to fight other propaganda. Nothing stands to scrutiny. It's beautiful. Women still read more than men do. Yeah, the milking farm with the minotaurs. We've seen that before. But inevitably get scolded when they do. By Compound Magazine for not giving enough attention to the vanishing white male writer. What? The vanishing white male writer is a reference to another article, I have no idea. I've seen, not just in the USA, if you're a white male writer, you have a lot of trouble getting published. But if you suddenly use a female name as a paid name and post as a woman, you will be praised, and they will publish you, and you will get a bunch of awards. I've seen that happening before. I've seen that happening before. Not in the USA, but somewhere else. The fact that Andrew's arguments are selective and not backed up by evidence hasn't bothered her permanent audience, whom she must have known would jump on any opportunity to blame American decline on women. Women. More than 200,000 people have watched the original speech that inspired the essay, overcoming the feminization of culture, which Andrews delivered at the National Conservatism Conference on September 2nd. For what it's worth, 89% of the speakers were men. Yeah? Wow! No way! Really? Unexpected. On Twitter, people who had only recently been calling for the Record Ball CEO to be fired after the Chain's attempt at the modernized logo rebrand, which was absolutely ugly. Excuse you, it was really ugly. Celebrated Andrew's speech with its bold acknowledgement that men are predisposed to reconciling with opponents and learning to live in peace. Not necessarily wrong, I suppose, but then again, modern politics are something else. Cancellation is apparently feminine. Just don't tell that to JD Vance, or citizens to try to get people fired for criticizing Charlie Kirk after his assassination. That's not what he said. I bet that's not what he said. Nobody tried to get people fired for criticizing Charlie Kirk after his assassination. People were complaining about so many other creatures, some homunculites, some goblinoids on social media, celebrating the death and calling for more violence. Oh, I hope Donald Trump is the next one. They say that. That's not criticism. That's called to violence. It's not the same. It's not the same. Also, I wouldn't want employees that celebrate assassination of just a normal guy like Charlie Kirk. It's not cancel culture, sweetie. It's consequence culture. It's so funny using their arguments against them. As if they're gonna care. There was particular approval for Andrew's zinc observation that women can sue their bosses for running a workplace that feels like a fraternity house, but men can sue when their workplace feels like a Montessori kindergarten, which is a big problem nowadays, because it feels like big companies are just adult kindergarten. They don't produce anything, it's just a huge waste of money. Do we need to bring in here those clips of, this is a day working at Twitter? No working has been done? What are we doing? Which to me at least actually makes sense, because one historical incubated rape culture and hierarchical violence, while the other tries to foster independent thinking and self-expression via finger paints. It's better to be treated as a kid than as an adult. Got it. Okay, let's see. I guess this is gonna have some actual meat. Much of the great feminization is drawn from an anonymous 2019 blog post, theorizing that the increased participation of women in public life, highlighting in several shift away from reason and logic in American public discourse. And is particularly worried about the law. All of us depend on a functional legal system. True, she writes. And to be blunt, the rule of law will not survive the legal profession, becoming majority female. Also true. I want to finish the paragraph first. I counted that it might, but we likely won't find out, given that it seems fated not to survive past next month, what with the pardoning of people financially involved with the Trump family, the targeting of political enemies, and amateur lawsuits, and the extrajudicial killings of dozens of people off the coast of Venezuela. If they are criminals, I don't care. Trump Biden Justice Department. Biden's Trump created the pardon. See, campaigns out, no idea who that is. James Comey, court indictment. That doesn't have a name. First rights, Trump, Venezuela. Maybe a feminist legal system, as and rights, wouldn't prioritize some squishy empathy over a starchy president, was hard to make the argument, that argument, when president itself has already been so thoroughly steamrolled. Okay, I'm really gonna talk about Trump giving pardons to people that are financially involved with him after Biden's pardons to the likes of Fauci and his son. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, let us go back a little bit here. Shift away from reason and logic in American public discourse. Yes. Because as we've seen recently, in recent times, society has all being about, but this makes me feel bad. I don't like this. This feels wrong. And you know what I say to that? I don't care. Facts don't care about your feelings. That's a classic line. That's a classic line. But it is true. For something like law, you need to be really factual. You cannot be blind about, oh, these poor criminals. They only wanted something to eat. That's why they keep stealing thousands of dollars in TVs. Sure. Sure thing, pal. And this wants us to know that she's not opposed to women, per se. The problem, she writes, is not that women are less talented than men, or even that female modes of interaction, my bad, are inferior in any objective sense. The problem is that female modes of interaction are not well suited to accomplishing the goals of many major institutions. You cannot use a feelings-based system to deal with an analytic system like country, law, or whatever. I understand the law has room for nuance, right? Killing is bad, killing is illegal, then again, self-defense. Easy example. But if you're talking about cold facts, if you're talking about just things that are numbers, like economy, etc., you cannot be feelings-based, because what are you doing? We're dealing with just facts, just a thing, just data, just numbers. You have to approach that on the same level. If you want the numbers to be better, you need to understand how to rearrange the numbers so they are actually better. Not, this makes me feel bad. These poor people. Maybe we should spend literal hundreds of billions every single year on these illegal immigrants and whatnot. I'm saying that happens in the US, it wouldn't surprise me if it did. It happens here. Fuck! Just because of that. It's all about the feelings. Not about the data, not about the cold facts. Here's something so bold and so unproven that it made me gasp. For thousands of years, men in power have been responsible for catastrophe after the genocide, after natural disaster. Natural disaster, okay. I was about to say, what do you mean natural disaster? Is the government controlling the earthquakes? But no. Some of the worst rulers in history have been women. Worse in the sense of bloodthirsty. So, careful with that. And you wanted you could blame masculinity for these atrocities, and you deduce in turn that perhaps Rising fundamental rights and the inviolable humanity of other people isn't such a terrible concept. If I speak, I'm in trouble. Anders doesn't propose any policy suggestions or alternatives to the great feminization, presumably because, as Matthew Gleason has written, the only viable solution would be widespread defeminization. Yeah, pretty much. Which would require massive cultural change and the rebirth of an incredibly oppressive and constraining set of social norms. It's not that oppressive, it's not constraining. And she and her allies are willing to actually make the case for it. Because it would be horrifying. Nevertheless, Pride 2025 is doing its best. It's not real. It's not real. You keep complaining about Pride 2025. It's not real. It was concocted by a think tank. Trump didn't know anything about this. Better than to plant the seed in people's minds for what would really be necessary rather than say it directly and face the consequences. She may call the kind of version stereotypically feminine and call it craving. Okay, so she was just complaining. In a really annoying way. Oh, what a disappointment, not gonna lie. The feminization of society in the West is undeniable. We've seen, especially in the past 15 years, the rise of this new age of feminism that honestly doesn't make any sense, right? It's all about equal rights, what about equal wrongs? That'd be actual progress, right? Claiming that they're oppressed and whatnot, and when you look at that, you see, oh, they get more money for college. Oh, they get higher scores for getting hired in companies because, oh, the government gives you benefits for hiring this diverse group of people, like women, but then again we can include the gays, the racial minorities, whatever you want. And that's kind of the point, right? If you're not hiring people that are useful to you, that have the highest skills, what are you doing? Well, companies, I want to say most companies, even though I have no idea if it's the case or not, would hire the people that's most beneficial to the company. That doesn't mean the most skilled. If you get somebody that might be barely skilled enough, but you get a bunch of money from the government, that might be a net benefit. Of course, some companies will do that just because of virtue signaling. Look at us, we have so many women pilots, and you say that the year that we see planes falling from the skies. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe that's not a win. What can you say? We've seen this constant push for, but may have to be more emotional. May have to cry, even though women don't like it. When that actually happens, even when they tell you they like it and it's fine, they're gonna break up with you. Not all of them, but your average social media woman will. Which is not saying a lot, they're not really high quality anyway. But it happens nonetheless. We've seen these strange, how to say it, this modus operandi, they say in Italian, right? Of just the left going all about the feelings. This person said something we didn't like. You're getting doxxed. You're getting fired. You're getting cancelled. That happened for the longest time. How dare you say something that I have misconstrued as racist? How dare you not use the correct pronouns to this self-described creature? That's not allowed. That makes you a bad guy because you're hurting the feelings of somebody. Therefore, you have to be completely destroyed. The same people that cheer for universal basic income are taking from you or trying to take from you your job. That means you cannot earn any money. That means if we understand how these concepts relate to each other, if you say mean things, they are fine with taking away your human basic rights because they believe that UBI should be a human basic right. Also, what better example than killing you in front of thousands of people. Like what happened to Charlie Kirk. He has the wrong ideas. He is so dangerous. He's spouting extreme nonsense. You think Charlie's extreme? You haven't seen anything yet. Which is hilarious. All of this is obviously feminine. Because it doesn't deal with facts. Because if it dealt with facts, this ideology would not exist. Because once again, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. I expected way more from this article. But then again, women. I guess that's fine. Rather not get just curious about it. I just read it here. Which is probably fine. Anyway. I've gone a little bit over my usual time. I guess it's okay. It was just a little bit. I felt mostly okay today anyway, so it's probably fine. So, thank you for coming. Hope you had some fun. We had a strange collection of articles for today. We're coming back on Monday with some more Pokemon X. The schedule will be up tomorrow evening as usual. I think I will probably do some Gasoline attachment on Thursday. I think that's a really silly and strange game, and we can show that in a silly one-off. So yeah, that's gonna be everything for me today. So once again, thank you for coming. Coming back on Monday. Until then, you know the rules, and so do I. Always stop the lies. Not only yours, but from anybody else. Because they're never good. And take care.